morning, Muscatine. You just, again, I know every time we start, I'm laughing at something. This time you can thank Angie. We'll just leave it at that. If you know who Angie is, and you probably know why I'm laughing. So we'll just leave it at that. Anyway, good morning. It's Wednesday. It's Wellness Wednesday, so we're here at UnityPoint. I apologize up front for the pasty white legs that are probably blinding you, but it is Fair Week, and we're going to be out there here in just a little bit, so you're just going to have to live with it. One housekeeping piece. Don't forget the Muskie girls play this afternoon at 1 o'clock. You can watch that on the Iowa Girl High School High School Sports Association website. We'll make sure that we've got links out there for you to watch it as well. Though it's the quarterfinals, they're playing PV, who they lost to twice this year, but they've won 10 out of the last, I think it's 13 against. So should be a really good game. We got a chance to talk to them yesterday on their off day. So if they win today, they'll play, well, either way, they'll play Thursday, either for the championship or in the consolation for third. So we'll also be live later this morning, lunchtime-ish, with the kitty tractor pull out at the fair. So you won't want to miss that. It's kind of a riot. So, and then this afternoon, I guess there was a lot of housekeeping today. And then later this afternoon, we'll have Joe Wieskamp and the retirement of his jersey and induction into the MHS Hall of Fame. So that'll be, I think it's about 2:15. So in between two of the sessions of his camp. So that's your day today. So just follow along with me all day. You're going to be fine. You'll know what's going on. So with that, there's a new nurse practitioner here in Muscatine, Rebecca Kerby, and it's Kerby, not like the vacuum.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Nice to meet you. So, and actually before we forget, these are warmies. I keep them with us every time we're here, and they got some new ones. So if you've got a sick kid, you take this, you throw it in the microwave, and it helps keep them warm and comfy and cuddly, and they work great. So, and I did find out we actually did have one with Ains. So I always said we didn't. I was wrong. I should not have said that on the air. Now everybody's going to have record of me saying I was wrong.
I mean, I won't forget, but.
Wow, that's, if you knew me, you'd know that doesn't happen very often. So, Rebecca, how are you?
I'm good.
How are you liking hanging out in UnityPoint down here?
I am loving it. It's been really good.
So let's do this if you could. Since most people don't know you, let's go ahead and have them give you a little bit about who you are and what you're going to do here, and then we'll kind of dive into more of the specifics.
Yep.
So what should we know about you? Like, what's super important?
So I am the new nurse practitioner. I'm a family practice nurse practitioner. I work with the family planning at the Muscatine Public Health. I'm an international board certified lactation consultant, which I like to think is a big deal.
Seems like it would be.
Yeah, I put a lot of work into that. I am married to my high school sweetheart. We have 5 children. I got into healthcare after, somebody laugh at my 5 kids.
No, he was like, no, it's the lovely thing about doing live stuff. They're laughing at something else off camera.
I mean, sometimes I laugh about the 5 kids.
Here's the thing, we're just going to blame it on Angie anyway, so don't worry about it.
Okay. So I've been working in the Quad Cities. I've worked at the hospital. I've worked at the WIC offices there. And so this recent move to Muscatine in April has been really exciting.
Awesome. So how did you get into healthcare? Because it seems like NP and then specifically into lactation, I got a feeling there's a story there.
There's always a story, yeah. So my husband and I are high school sweethearts, and we had, when we were pregnant for the first time, we had twins. And they were about 2 months early.
Just dive right in, right?
Yeah, and we had obviously no idea what we were doing.
Right.
And then they came early, so we really had no idea. And we were in the NICU in the hospital. I really thought I was going to breastfeed, and it really didn't go amazing. And then, of course, doesn't always happen, but I developed postpartum depression, and that wasn't diagnosed until they were 6 months old because there just wasn't the support and the information. Of course,
Right.
the internet was different then.
Right.
Good and bad things, right?
Yep. It's a tool. It can be good, it can be bad. It's like a hammer.
Yeah, so then I was traveling, and I was in Asia, of all places, and I saw a woman on a motorbike, like one of those mopeds, you know, and it's just crazy, the traffic there. And she was breastfeeding. And I thought, oh my gosh, if she can do that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this work.
I have a feeling there's a law against that here, though.
I wasn't
doesn't
planning
feel
on a
like-
moped.
It doesn't feel like in the United States you could probably have a kid on a moped strapped to your chest.
Right, very fair point. And I certainly have never been on a moped, but I thought, wow, she's doing that. I've got to be able to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
So then we were kind of progressing with life and had another baby, and I found support, and I found all of these amazing providers and lactation consultants and people who work in the birth world, and I had this amazing experience. It was a complete turnaround for me. And so I said, wow, I love this. How can I help other people have an amazing experience too? I have a big heart for education, so I teach classes. I got into lactation, I did support groups at WIC, I volunteered with the La Leche League International, and I became a lactation consultant, which is that international board certified is that kind of highest level in lactation, because it just gave me the skills and ability to really not just help with the physical aspect of breastfeeding, but the emotional, the connections. It's not easy, and people need support.
Well, it's interesting. Obviously, I've never had lactation issues. And I know my wife wouldn't care if I tell this story. With our daughter, we were in the NICU, and she was having challenge because it was stressful. It was like everything that you wouldn't want to have as like an environmental factor, right, for being able to do it. And she was trying so hard, and it was a struggle. And again, they did a great job supporting her, right?
Yeah.
Because this was 15-ish. Well, no, probably a little more than that ago. Yeah, I don't know, a long time ago. For me, because it's all about me, don't forget, it was hard watching her. So I can't even imagine what it was like. And we've talked about it, and obviously there's times when you can, if you can, great. If you can't, there's other viable options, right? But I know it struck right at her core that she wasn't able to do it, right?
Yeah.
And it was, again, for me, because that's all I can really speak to, is it was painful to watch. So I can't imagine what women go through as they, like the one thing they're supposed to be able to do, like automatically.
Absolutely.
If they can't, I can't imagine what kind of psychological toll that takes.
Yeah, and I've had this amazing opportunity. I've been working for UnityPoint for a number of years. When I worked in the Quad Cities, it's UnityPoint, and I've been able to work as a lactation consultant in the NICU. And the NICU team here in the Quad Cities is phenomenal. I mean, I can't even say enough about how great they are with breastfeeding, but to have been in that experience and then be able to come full circle and help families. And then now that I'm a nurse practitioner, it just provides that higher level of care, a little bit more that I can do, and provides more opportunities. And then to be able to bring that to Muscatine, to be able to reach the families here. I was, at the time living in an area where we really had to drive to get anywhere. And I know a lot of families in Muscatine area have that as well. So to be able to be this little, spot
help,
closer to home where you can reach out for support, that's amazing.
So one thing that always interested me, and this is across all of healthcare as well, but there's always all these like home remedies, witches brew things that somebody's grandma's cousin swears by, and sure, maybe they might help you mentally maybe get there, I don't know, but it would sure seem like this, like everything else, there is a medical best practice, right? Like, here's the things that are most likely to do it, like everything medical. Does it always work all the time? No, because everybody's different. But like, what are some of those like kind of key things? Like, if you had to tell somebody sitting at home right now is like, either they're pregnant or they're getting ready, like, what are a couple of the key things that you maybe want them to know?
Well, I'd like them to see a provider.
Well, obviously,
obviously.
obviously that goes without.
But if we're talking about breastfeeding,
Yeah.
getting ready, UnityPoint has free breastfeeding classes, and we see a huge difference in the families who take those classes versus the ones they don't, and just confidence. And if things aren't going exactly the way we hope they are, they've had that education to kind of say, hey, I know there's other possibilities. Reach out for help. Lactation cookies are a big thing, and I will never tell someone to turn down a cookie.
What's a lactation cookie?
They're called galactagogues, so like oatmeal and brewer's yeast and things in them that we think can be beneficial for lactation. But lactation supply and demand. It's more, my husband's a mechanic, and I always say that I'm kind of a mechanic too, because I talk about the way things work, and we got pumps, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So good support, knowing your resources, like we're able to offer lactation here at, Public Health, so people can reach out to us for questions. But eat a cookie if you want a cookie, but know that there's a little bit more to it. And the best thing you can do is snuggle your baby. Snuggle your baby, get support, and take it 1 feed at a time. Things happen, but we're here to kind of help people through that.
Gotcha. So again, I'm probably the worst person to interview on this, but the challenge that I think other women face, at least I've seen them face, is having the ability to live their normal life and still provide and still pump and do that. So what are some of the things that you see that have maybe changed in the last handful of years, or like a little advice for someone who's going through that right now?
Yeah, so the pumps, there's so many options now. And so talking to somebody who's maybe experienced pumping, or again, a lactation consultant who can help you kind of navigate what type of pump is a good fit for you. I mean, we don't necessarily recommend a specific pump, but there's like hands-free wireless, and then these big box ones, there's so many options.
Of course there is. Like, my ignorance, I wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah, it actually totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
So, and talking to somebody ahead of time so that you have an idea of what what your needs are going to be. Employers are doing a great job of providing spaces for people to pump. I have a grant, and I'm working with UnityPoint to update employee pumping rooms, actually, so that we can make them a more comfortable, relaxing place, because it's a big deal. It's a huge dedication to take the time out of your day to pump and to provide that for your child.
So let's go from a place of ignorance here, which I'm really good at. So about how often, and I know this obviously changes, but like if you had to just kind of give like a rule of thumb, average situation, how often are they going to have to pump, for how long? Like, and I know it's tricky, but then like, how does the room help? Because you put specific things in the room, right?
Yeah, so like a newborn eats 8 to 12 times a day. So if the baby's not on the breast and you want to maintain your supply, you have to pump 8 to 12 times a day. That's every 2 to 3 hours.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes
Babies
sense.
are not great about schedules, but if we're just pumping, you know.
Yeah.
So when a mom first returns to work, it's hard because you're separated from your baby. You had some time off. You're with them every day, and we're pumping still every like 3 hours at the most, because you want to maintain that supply.
So that's probably like 3-ish times, at least 3
At
times.
bare minimum, 2 to 3 times a day.
Like during a work day. Okay.
Yeah, and it just depends. And like some moms will pump right before they
Right.
get there.
Right, of course.
And so we're making sure there's more comfortable chairs in the rooms, because this maybe isn't the best chair to sit in for that. I have footstools, so you pop your feet up and just in a more kind of ergonomic position. Phone stands and chargers, so that you're not just sitting there pumping for 20 minutes. You can watch your phone, you can put a picture of your baby on. There's some kind of that imagery of your child there can kind of help with the process of relaxation. Some moms will watch videos of their babies while they're pumping, because this is a machine, it's not your baby, it's really different, so we try and stimulate that. I have some beautiful breastfeeding art that a local watercolor artist is making for our rooms, and I have just some, cleaning things and just little things to make the room more comfortable.
Right, just like any room that you set up for a specific purpose, it's those little things that just you need every little time, just having them there is probably 90% of the battle, I would think. Because from what I've heard, obviously, like relaxation and I'm gonna say focus, but intent maybe, are two of the big things. And if you're at work and you've got to step into a room and all of a sudden you're told, relax, you're on a clock, relax.
It's so hard.
Now, right, if you have a comfortable chair, you know what I mean? Like those things that help put you in a relaxed state, I would think would help tremendously.
Yeah, and it's kind of, so at Public Health we do We do things that are kind of nerve-wracking at times. You know, like not everybody loves coming in for an annual and a pelvic exam. We do things like STD testing. And my goal too there is to offer a comfortable environment in place. I have fidget poppers for women that they can mess with, or teens if they're coming in to talk, so that they can do that during the conversation and the exams. You know, we try and put comfortable colors, and I offer to play music if somebody wants some music playing while we're doing that. But that's one of the things I love about my job, lactation, and then of course like going to public health, it's kind of this, I think, natural transition because it's very much a supportive role, and to be able to make it, you know, situations that maybe are frustrating or exhausting, to make it a more comfortable environment.
It's almost like you're a child life specialist
I love
for
it.
adults.
Yes,
right?
if I could hand out bomb pops, I would. Those are my favorite.
They're totally shameless plug for H&J Cards, and it's Wild Bill's drinks. They have bomb pop ones.
Oh, I'm a sucker for bomb pops. Yeah.
Stop. So when you head home, stop at H&J Cards out in the
Okay.
mall. It's like a Pokemon trading card store. Back in their back cooler, they have Wild Bills, and I don't know where this comes from. Like, I think they're the only ones in town that have it. And they're like 10-ounce drinks. I had the butterscotch one yesterday. But they have one that's like bomb pop, which like is, yeah, you'll love it. It's, yeah,
Yeah.
they're awesome.
Oh, it sounds great. No,
Shameless plug.
no. Like I said, I'm a sucker for bomb pop. But I could,
Yeah.
you know, we try and do things that we can to make our patients more comfortable for those visits. So, you know.
And so, what else, you know, obviously lactation is on the pregnancy side, well, post-pregnancy, obviously. What are some of the things that you do outside of the pregnancy realm in your practice?
Yeah. So we don't deal a lot with pregnancy, but we do annuals and pelvic exams, breast exams, which is a lactation consultant. You know, it's
Makes
kind of
sense.
my jam.
Yep.
We offer contraceptives, contraceptive counseling, kind of help women make those choices. Contraceptives for men as well. We do STD testing, and we have treatment as well at our clinic, which is really an amazing thing to be able to offer. We offer emergency contraceptives, and it's been really amazing. We serve, you know, the community. We're this gap care, but we are able to help those that are uninsured and underinsured, and offer sliding scale fees. So that's really exciting for me as well.
And I think, you know, one thing that we often talk about is like, what are people's barriers to healthcare, right? And one thing that I've heard over and over is either cost, or more importantly, perceived cost. Right?
Yes,
They don't
yes.
necessarily understand what it might cost them or might not cost them. And then just that general apprehension, right?
Yep.
And it's one thing that we always talk about is like that first step, honestly, if you're out there watching right now and you're thinking, you know, maybe I should call, the first call is the hardest, right? And I'm going to steal a Mel Robbins thing. Shout out to Melissa for sending me this. You know, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like a rocket, just go, right? Don't give yourself time to think about it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, make the call, right? And you'll feel better, right? Because you guys, you're used to these calls. It's like literally what you've been trained to do. So if somebody's at home thinking about a couple of things right now that might say, you know what, you should call us, what might some of those things be?
If anybody has questions about their birth control options, and I just want to do a plug for the nurses, we have this amazing, friendly team, very knowledgeable, and they've made the transition smooth for me, and they're so great with our patients. So if anybody has questions about contraceptives and, you know, what's the best choice for them, if anybody has, you know, man, I don't love those annual exams, but I haven't had one done in a while, because we recommend pap smears every 3 to 5 years. It's a really important part of well woman care. I love to do it, you know, happy to come in and talk about it and talk about why you're uncomfortable and like how can we make it more comfortable for you. If anybody's having any kind of symptoms, you know, and they're like, gosh, I don't know about this, you know, we can talk about that, and we can, you know, we offer the STD testing, we can run some tests. It's okay. You know, we don't mind having those conversations, and we love when people are take control of their health and, you know, make that choice to seek care with us.
And I think one thing you just said there at the end is absolutely huge, and that's take control.
Yeah,
right?
it's so important.
It may feel like the healthcare system is large, really hard to navigate, and this is, again, based on our experience with our daughter who had, 14 specialists and,
Yep.
a care team that was huge. It's all about building relationships, right?
Yep.
And it's on you as the patient to reach out and to start those relationships, right? Like, and I know it's hard, and I know it sometimes seems contradictory, right? But when you walk into the room with the nurse or a practitioner or a physician or whoever the provider is, they're there to help you, right? Is it awkward? Yeah, it is. Like at first, it is. But the sooner you can open up and the sooner you can let yourself be in a position to make that connection,
Yeah.
the sooner your healthcare situation is going to get better. And it's not going to feel cold. It's not going to feel like a large, because I don't care what the institution is. It's made up of people, right? And here's the other little trick I'll tell you, and we're going to see if you think this will work. The trick we used is everywhere we went, we took chocolate chip cookies with us. My dad made these amazing ones. Now my wife makes them.
Oh,
right?
homemade cookies.
Yes. So what we would do is anytime we went somewhere with Ains, not anytime, but we would take those, right? And you give them to the nurses, you give them to, because here's the thing, I mean, it's, $2 worth of cookies, but who isn't happy when they have a cookie, right?
Right. You certainly don't have to feed us, but
Yeah,
we
no,
usually don't turn
that's
down
not,
cookies.
yeah, that wasn't, but it was more a concept, folks.
Yeah.
It's that, what would you do if you wanted to build a relation? It's
Yep.
that kind of a thing, and
Yep.
it's how you open up, right? You have to consciously open up, and then you can take control of your health care. You can get those little naggy things that you've been thinking about handled, and then life just gets better.
Well, and the other thing too is that we offer confidential services, so it's not like
Right.
someone can call and find out that you've been there or why you've been there. And so I
Right.
think that adds a little edge of comfort for people who might be nervous about coming in. But yeah, I mean, and we also, being public health, we have so many amazing people outside of the family planning clinic in the building. So we have ways of finding access to so many different people and resources. So if people have concerns, we're a safe place to bring those up.
That's awesome. So I know we've covered a bunch, and is there anything else that obviously we've covered lactation, right?
Yeah.
So like if you have questions about that, call. General, let's just call it women's health questions, call. Is there anything else major that you can think of that you'd want somebody to know that they may not?
I should mention that we're working to bring telehealth services to our clinic to make care more accessible.
Nice.
That's a big thing in my heart, having an uncle who has to drive 3 miles to get to a phone signal.
Whoa.
He has no service at his home because of a rural area.
Right.
Accessibility to care and services, that is really in our heart at Public Health. And so we're working to bring telehealth services. And actually, I do car seat safety. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Enough to be
The-
dangerous. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
so.
that was kind of Melissa's lane. I'll be
Yeah,
honest.
well, I came into public health and I said, I do this. There's so many great opportunities here. And they said, great, how do we do it? So, I mean, they are on the ball, working to get resources, to get our staff, a lot of our staff trained. They're bringing it to us.
Nice.
So that we can, because we have people who work with, lots of families and young children in the community. So we just have so much to offer. And I want people to know that we are a safe, friendly, warm, accepting place, and we would love to see them.
That's awesome. So again, just to wrap it up, folks, if you're sitting at home watching this and you're even remotely thinking you maybe should call. Because if for some reason the thing you have a question about isn't their lane, I'm going to guess they can probably get you to the person whose lane it is, right? So we'll make sure that, obviously public health information is all over everywhere. You can find it super easily, but we'll make sure that it's...
STI testing for males and females.
A what? Oh, testing.
Yeah, we did say that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we talked
We
about
did say that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, yeah, we covered STI testing,
Yes.
didn't we? If not, yes, if you need to get tested, public health is the place to go, right?
Yeah.
Pretty easy. So, again, with that, folks, Rebecca, it's been fun.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
It's you're
And we'll see you at the fair, right?
Yes.
Public health's at the fair today. I'll
public-
be there
yes.
tomorrow.
Oh, you will? Yeah,
I'll
I
be
will
there all
be
day
there
tomorrow,
yeah.
and then we'll be there Friday as well.
Yeah, so if you're looking for us out at the fair, folks, if you go in the grandstand, if you take an immediate right, you'll see us, or unless we're out running around, and UnityPoint will be right off to the left.
By the medic booth.
Yep, by the medic
Yeah.
booth, which guess who's like, staffing the medic booth with nurses?
UnityPoint.
Huh, surprise, right? Well, thank you for that, and thank you for all you're doing, and we'll
Thank
see you
you.
tomorrow. And Muscatine, enjoy your Wellness Wednesday. You're gonna have a kiddie tractor pull here in a little bit. You're gonna have a Joe Wieskamp Hall of Fame induction, and in between there, watch the girls softball team play PV. So have a good morning, and we will see you in a little bit.